everyone, I hope you're doing well. I'm Lucas, and today we're actually doing something that's really cool. We are going to be going through my POV, my onboard footage from the first round of the F1 2021 Esports Pro Championship, which was also my first ever F1 Esports victory. Big thanks to my teammate Daniele Haddad, who provided the replay file, because I didn't save it myself because I'm not intelligent. However, yeah, it is yeah, it's going to be fun to look back at this. It was quite a while ago now, as I'm recording this, I believe on the 10th of January, so it's been a while. But yeah, I'm super happy to have this footage, because I mean, it gives you guys, I guess, an insight to you know, what happened in that race. So yeah, I guess without further ado, let's sort of jump into it. So as you can see, grid order on the left, we qualified P2 for this race, right behind Nicholas Longe. And yeah, I mean, let's just crack on with it. So 5 red lights on our screen, and yep, away we go. So if I can get rid of that. So we actually got an incredibly good start, going down the inside, braking just on the 100 meters. And what I'm gonna do, right, if I can change perspective. Yep, so I, on the braking, made sure I kept Nico out onto the right hand side, as you can see, because if I go too tight, it opens up the sort of the angle for Nico to sort of have a look round the outside going into the next sort of subsequent corner, if you see what I mean. So I made sure to keep him pinched tight, and then make my own line to the apex, just a little bit off it, just carrying the speed. And as you can sort of see, this is the first time I've done a replay in a long time, and yeah, as you can see, there we go, taking the lead straight off the start of the race. So then we just sort of, we get into it. So yeah, taking the lead into the first corner of the first lap of the season, is at the first race, is there's obviously worse ways to start your year, so not a bad start by any means of any stretch of the imagination. So at this point in the race, the plan was just to get your head straight down, and yeah, focus on getting the rhythm. Try and not make any mistakes, try and just, you know, build up to it gradually, don't get any warnings. It's very easy to pick up warnings if you're not too careful, so yeah. And one thing I also did a lot, actually I'm going to rewind it, but one thing I did quite a lot was I used this line out here, which I'm still getting used to this replay. We actually pulled quite a good gap to Nico off the beginning, but it is a little bit of dirt air related there as well. But we always use this line on the outside, where I don't think almost many other people did. So I mean, it just sort of helped to open up the corner from my perspective. And yeah, we just sort of got on with it. So at this point, we already had 7.5 tenths to Nicholas Longe. And the thing as well, in this race, is as the race sort of progressed on and on, I sort of felt I had really strong pace, because we have 70% ERS if you look down the bottom. Actually no, it's actually even more than that. It's actually 80% on that braking zone. So we had quite a lot of battery in reserve, using all the road in the exit at the end of the first lap of 20. And yeah, first lap of the esports season in the book. So running order, as you can see, myself, Longe, Alvaro, and the two McLarens actually, 5 and 6. Now I don't believe it shows you guys the onboards, or not the tire. I don't know. It probably does show the tiles. Sorry. So if I do, yeah, there. So you go. So if I show the tiles, the top 3 cars. Actually, no, I tell a lie. The top 4 cars on the screen, I'm going to get rid of that. So the top 4 cars that you can see on your screen, we're all on the soft tyres, so this will come into relevance later in the race. But I believe from Barry, Danny, Jarno, these guys were all on mediums. So at this stage in the race, myself, Nicholas, I'll get back to my onboard, myself, Nicholas, Alvaro, we've all got to sort of make a run for it, because we have actually got a gap to Danny Beresny, who is the next soft runner. We've got a gap out with DRS, so when DRS is activated, the sort of lead group of, you know, Nico, Alvaro, myself will start to bunch up. And at this point, the gap is still, you know, high 6 tenths. So I was actually really pleased, because I was sort of cruising. I wasn't, not cruising, obviously I'm pushing and just managing the tyres in just a perfect way. But as you can see, the ERS this lap is only marginally a few percent less than the lap before, so that to me gave me a good indication that with the gap staying like that and me minimising the ERS usage, that it was not looking, yeah, it wasn't too bad at this point in the race. So on to lap 3, DRS will get enabled on this time by Nicholas Longue, and for some reason Cedric Tomei has glitched out and taken the lead, but that's fixed now, so that's all good. But yeah, all of us now getting the DRS activation, as we'll probably see from the out shot as well. We'll not see from the out shot, but yeah. So we've got the leading trio because Danny Berezny fell as well. He's just outside it. It didn't really fall off in his defence, but he would have used a lot of battery to probably try and catch up into this sort of field. So yeah, he's still just outside it, but I think from memory, Danny Berezny, I don't know if I said Moreno by accident a minute ago, but Danny Berezny probably pitted really early versus the rest of us. So yeah, the soft degradation obviously is yeah, I mean, depending on the setup and stuff, it can be quite I'd say it was sort of medium, probably medium high on this track. I mean, it's definitely higher on other tracks, but it's also certainly lower on other tracks. BAHRAIN is a real limited circuit, so you've just got to sort of manage the veers, try not, you know, burn them out, set the car up in the race to sort of manage that as you would desire. And even on lap 3, after 2 DRS zones, we've kept the gap at high 6/10. Now with the DRS getting activated though, you're going to see that gap start to come down, dropping into 5/10s, 4/10s, probably getting to close to 3/10s. Yep, down to just right behind us now as we cut to the outboard shot, and also Alvaro sticking with us as well. And the second that DRS got activated for the cars behind, Danny Berezny dropped back due to not having it. So that was kind of critical for our race, because it meant that we just started gapping the leading trio further and further away from the next soft runner, but more importantly, the next medium runner. Because for the medium runner to make their strategy work, they would have to, if possible, tag onto the back of soft runners like ourselves. But thankfully thankfully for ourselves, there is 4 seconds between Alvaro and Danny Moreno, who is the first soft runner. So medium runner, sorry. So that this is critical. That 4 seconds is huge. That 4 seconds at lap 4 is unbelievably important, because if, let's say, with the way the order bunched up and other cars doing certain strategies, if Danny Moreno was in the DRS of Alvaro Carrington, he would basically use a lot of battery early in the stint, wait for the softs to die out, and then basically drive at a pace much faster than he should be going, and then gain a lot of net race time. And then when they pit, they'll have obviously the fresher soft tires and have much less time to make up in relation to us. So that would give them a better chance of victory. But at the moment for us, it is going incredibly well. We now have 2 seconds to Danny Berezny, 2.6 to Moreno, furthermore behind Berezny. So at the moment, we're just cruising at a good pace, trying to manage the tyres. But equally, what I was very, very wary of during this stint, because we're now on lap 5 already, we're a quarter way through the race. What I was very critically aware of is Nico can probably pass me, you know, if he uses enough battery or if he pushes hard enough, you know, because I'm not using massive amounts of battery, as you can see down the bottom. But if he pushes hard enough, he will most likely have a chance of overtaking me. So for me, the concern was when he did this, because if he did it on, if I tried to go long on the softs to give myself some good mediums at the end of the race, if Nicholas decided to, let's say, do the overtake the lap I intended on pitting, it means I lose the lead and we would probably most likely pit on that same lap. So I didn't want to lose the lead and then pit behind them. I would rather pit the lap, you know, the lap earlier and retain the theoretical lead of the race, if that makes sense. So as you can see, 3/10s, 2/10s, probably 1/10. He's right behind us, and if he absolutely wanted to, he probably would have been able to make the overtake. So this is what I was wary of going on to lap 6 now. still running at, I believe it's 76% ERS, so our ERS count was very strong at this point in the race. But the thing is Nico's, even though the thing with Nico's is it was probably higher because with the DRS and the slipstream, it's massively easier to save the battery up in relation to the car in front, who has to punch the hole in the air for the cars behind. But as you can see, sorry I didn't point it out, but Danny Berezny made a pit stop. I didn't actually catch what lap it was, if it was just right there or not. Maybe it was lap 5, but Danny Berezny in the pits, which is very early. Now, I knew from the pre-race sort of calculations that the undercut he would get wouldn't be that massive, so in truth I was very, very surprised to see Danny Berezny pit this early on in the stint and not go longer. I was quite surprised because the undercut pitting that early relative to not just us but even the other medium runners wasn't that great, so that would have really, I think that really probably turned out to hurt him a lot towards the end of this. Now, this is lap 6, there's a 7/10 gap. We did use a bit more battery going into this lap just to make absolute assurance that we would keep the lead going into this lap. Now, at this point, we are starting to enter the sort of pit stop phase. You know, we have the option to, you know, look and think about you know, starting to pit, because from lap 7 you can get to the end of the race no problem now, with relatively okay performance. But for us, we have, you know, myself, I have number 92, but that's because it's Daniele's file. But we have, you know, it's the leading trio, 7/10 equidistant, and the thing is it's basically which one of us is going to pull the trigger first. So that was something that I was constantly keeping in my mind, and as you can start to see now, Nicholas gaining a little bit under the DRS. But what I also mentioned, if you remember, is I did not want to be overtaken and then pit out in P2, because then that increases the risk of becoming the third car on the train. And as you can see, having a little bit of a snap, we have 6/10 of the car behind, but that starts to dramatically drop because you can see Nicholas is using a lot of his battery. So at this point, my tyres were slightly overheated from that mistake. I could have done one more lap, but we make the decision to pit because I had the feeling that Nico was probably going to go for the lead there, and if I wanted to defend it, I would have had to use a lot more ERS and probably not for much gain. So this way, we managed to regen the ERS in a much more efficient way, pit for our medium tyres, and stay in the theoretical lead, because at this point we will have enough of an undercut to retain the lead. By how much is awaiting to be seen, I guess. Right, sorry for the technical issues. For some reason the camera decided to switch car, but I got it back. We got it back. So let me just quickly refocus. It'll do, and carry on with the race. So rejoining the track, and at this point I have 57% ERS, which is actually a little bit lower than I probably would have wanted, but excuse me, but the critical thing for us is we will, you know, we're still in the theoretical lead of the race, so you know that's the main thing. So yeah, just cracking on with it, with the onboard, just trying to make sure we don't obviously we want to make up time, but you also don't want to lose time using this line again, which I'm honestly surprised a lot more people didn't use that line. I mean, I think I was one of the only few people that did that line that whole race. I don't know, maybe it just suited me more than others, or maybe our car liked it more than other people's, because obviously there's setup dependencies and things like that. But just keeping in the rhythm, short shift up to 5th, nice and smooth outlap, not burning the ERS entirely, because I know with the fact that Nicholas will have fresher tyres and will be, no matter even if I exited after we all pit, no matter if I had over a second in the gap, they would probably use the battery to close it anyway. So my thought process wasn't to really use it entirely. There is Nicholas Longy, who actually did what I should have done and used the entire track on the re-entry, which I didn't do. I kept it very safe, which, you know, is understandable given that, you know, I was leading, you know, leading the race. So yep. So Alvaro there as well, rejoining after the pit stops, would have used quite a bit of ERS, but from now on, it is a sort of chess match till the end of the race. It is lap 9 of 20. We all have over halfway remaining in this race, and it is now, as you can see with the gap to Nicholas, 7 tenths or 6 tenths, and Alvaro 8 tenths. It is a three-way fight, not including the fact that alternate strategy runners might come into play, albeit with how much of a gap we pulled to the alternate strategy runners, it was looking somewhat unlikely that this would happen. Sorry. So the idea at this point in the race was that potentially it is going to be a sort of three-way fight for the win of this race between myself, Nicholas Longue, and Alvaro Caraton. So at this point, it's just sort of anticipating not if but when it was basically going to happen. So for me, I was just trying to keep my ERS stable, run a stable pace, not burn my tyres out, because I'm also aware that I'll have a couple more percent of tyre wear compared to the cars around me. And what I was also aware of was that Nicholas, if he doesn't overtake me, will 99% be charging his battery, probably to the entirety of the battery pack. So that was that was my thoughts at this point in the race, and it's just about, you know, sort of punching out laps now, starting to climb our way back up the order. Now, as you can actually see, Danny Berezny, after doing a 2-lap undercut or something on us, I can't remember exactly the lap he pitted, but 3.3 seconds behind and on older tyres, so the undercut wasn't very strong from soft to medium tyres. So yeah, it didn't really work out for him, unfortunately. And I don't think he finished in the points in this race because of that, which is a bit of a shame. So yeah, let's see. So we have still the key people that are yet to pit are the leading trio of medium runners, you know, because we've got the leading trio of soft runners, myself, Nicholas, Alvaro. The leading trio of medium alternate strategy runners is Danny Moreno, Barry Bermond, and Jarno Otmir, who, speaking of who, decides to pit right on command, so thanks for that, Jarno. On lap 10 of this race, exactly a 50-50 split, basically, giving him, which will probably give him a good undercut on the cars ahead, but it does mean that they will have to work through the pack of existing cars. So let's see who he rejoins. Jarno rejoins. Oh wow, quite a long, it's actually even more further away than I thought. So Jarno rejoins 6.1 seconds behind Berezny, but critically 10 seconds behind Alvaro Caraton, which is the group that we are part of. So that is basically a second a lap he would need to use, which is okay maybe for the start of the soft sim. I can't remember exactly from memory, but it could be a problem when my brains went blank, when his tyres go off, which they will, because they're soft tyres, and doing 10 laps on the softs is quite a long time. So at this point, unless myself, Nicholas, or Alvaro fought very, very hard and very, very aggressively, it was looking not too terrible for the three of our chances. At this point, it looked like, at worst case for us, as long as we weren't too silly in our fighting, that we would all get a podium. So it just depended what order that podium was going to be. As you can see, weaving a little bit on the straight, because Nicholas Longue is actually very, very close behind, but he doesn't overtake. He does not want to overtake us at this point in the race, because he is, he's saving up his battery. And yeah, that's what they're probably both doing. So you can see how close he is to us, but you know, with this many laps remaining, he will want to try and build up his battery if he can. Probably want to also build up his, his tyre advantage, because if you can save your tyres behind the car in front who's on a lap older tyres, then, you know, that gives you a great advantage towards the end of the race. So yeah, that's also something to consider. So yeah, and as you can see, Jarno Otmir was 6 seconds behind Danny Berezny, make that 2.7 seconds now, which was a huge cut in the gap. I don't know maybe if the delta was slightly off, but I do generally believe like the pace advantage was big, put it that way. So at this point in the race there are only 2 people remaining to make their pit stop, and that is Danny Moreno, 2 laps later than Jarno Ortner, his teammate, for the soft, so he'll have the best tyres in the field probably, and also Brendan Lee, who is also the alternate strategy, and I can see Brendan boxing right now. I can see him. But does Danny Moreno as well? Yes, so both of those drivers decide to make the pit stop on lap 12. So that is us now back into the lead of the race. And as you can see as well from the gap, Nicholas Longy just sitting on the back of our car, just sitting right there. You know, they're just chilling, waiting for their opportunity. You can see in the background the remaining train of cars. Danny Moreno coming out in the thick of the fight as well with Freddie Rasmussen. No, sorry, Simon Weigang, Donoso, all these sort of things. And yeah, you know, this obviously aids our cause because the closest alternate strategy runner is 6.5 seconds behind the Alvaro, and his tyres will only get worse as the race goes on. So, and he pitted lap 10, so yeah, the tyres will be very poor towards the end of the race. So that leaves the top 3, which is myself, Nico and Alvaro, with a good, you know, good opportunities in this race, but it's just a matter of exactly when are they going to strike? When are they going to decide that, you know, it's time to pull that pin and decide that they want the position? When will it happen? That is the key thing. So, heading on to lap 14 now, found in the final corner of 13. And yeah, I mean, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video so far, just sort of seeing the onboard perspectives, how I've managed it. The ERS has stayed pretty much identical from the start and the end of this medium stint, so that was really the focus for us. Nico might have been saving his battery, but equally we were not spending ours either. We were saving that little bit extra in reserve for when it was required. And yeah, Alvaro as well, just chilling there, just keeping it cool, keeping it smooth. So yeah, it's just a waiting game really at this point, because at this point in the race I was actually enjoying it a lot, if I'm honest. Like, I was, you know, having such a good rhythm, the car felt really good. I had a bit of too much understeer, but the car felt really good, and you know, I was really confident, and even though I was under, even though I was under what is quite a lot of pressure, you know, fighting for your first ever F1 Esports victory, I was really enjoying it. I was really, like, when you're confident in your ability and you've got the car right underneath you, and you feel like you've got, you know, enough in hand to take on the guys that you're fighting with, then you do enjoy it. It's not an impossible experience to like not enjoy, if you see what I mean. So, you know, these are the things as well that, you know, what I was maybe a little bit surprised about as well. So yeah, 7/10s at the exit of that last corner, ERS 57%. And yeah, Nico just sort of, I think at this point he had 100% battery. I'm pretty sure he would have by this point. Let's see if I can do a sneaky spy shot from here. Can I look? Can I see? How do I go up? How do I go up? Right, so I think, oh wait, no, that's not 100%, is it? I don't think that's 100%. Let me do the big zoom. Spygate.com. 57%. Well, I don't know if that's accurate or not, because I could have sworn that, yeah, I could have sworn that was 100% on the live broadcast. Maybe that was a different lap I looked at, but, oh well. Continuing on. Took a little bit of outboard shot as well. And yeah, Alvaro also just sort of hanging in there, just chilling a bit. And yeah, I mean, it was such a cool experience to be out in front of these. I mean, we've led every single, apart from the laps that we didn't pit, if you see what I mean. We led basically every lap of the race, theoretically, so it was definitely a fun experience, I can't lie. You know, to be in that position, it was definitely a sort of a privilege to be in. And yeah, heading back on board. That's my cockpit cam. Heading back on board because I believe the spicy action will start at a moment. So yeah. just have to quickly cut back, but there we go. So yeah, we've only got 5 laps to go, so any drama that is going to kick off will do so very, very soon, and in 5 laps time we will have a winner. So it's all to play for. 60% battery. I am weaving that just a little extra bit because we've actually got quite a sizable gap now to Nico. I think he was really like harvesting that last little extra bit of battery that he would require to get on the back of me. But the thing is for me is you know, I had the 1 lap older tyres, but I still felt like my pace was very strong because I wasn't spending almost any ERS this entire stint from start to end. Maybe a little bit, but you know, only in the places that actually mattered and naturally. So I wasn't bad, but now you can see Nicholas Longy starting to close up onto the back of our car. Now you can sort of see. Actually, I didn't even realise I could look behind. Sorry, I'm very good at this replay function clearly, but now you can see just sort of starting to hound us down within half a second of us, and yeah, a little bit of oversteer on the exit I think from Nico as well. But as you can also see, Jarno Opmi are down in P. Well, not down in P5, that's not correct, but 3.5 seconds off the back of us. So it would take a monumental fight for Jarno to then end up involved in our fight, considering he stopped really gaining lap time on us by this, you know, rough period of the race due to, you know, his tyres starting to degrade a bit more with him being on the soft. So penultimate corner of lap 16 of this race. Nicholas Longy half a second behind, which is sort of just about touching distance to have a look. 4.5 tenths going into the final corner right before we start on lap 17. So here we go then. I believe this might be the first time he has a look. So lap 17, here comes the time. Down, down, down. We move to the inside, cover off Nicholas Longy, braking all the way on the outside, side by side with Nico, holding our line. Nicholas right on the back of us now. We didn't want to completely give up the position, but I didn't want to fight it too much. I didn't want to spend my battery. I was more than happy to fight Nicholas, not get the switch back here, but I was more than happy to fight him and make him use that battery that he had saved, because I was really confident that we could stick with him. And already during this lap, so far, albeit it's just been a few corners, so you can't really fully get a reading from it, but we have stuck very, very close to the back of his car, and from what I remember, he was very slow. Yeah, look how much quicker we were into that hairpin. With 1 lap older tyres as well, you know, we were able to stick very, very close to the back of Nicholas. So at this point in the race, the confidence just kept building and building and building, you know, knowing that, you know, that it could be, you know, good things could be on the cards. So yeah, it was just a case of managing the gap. Alvaro behind, just chilling, you know, probably saving his own net worth of ERS. But yeah, on to lap 17 now. Focusing on trying to get a good exit. We're only 3 tenths behind, but as you'll see, opening DRS, not touching the ERS at the moment because I want to reserve that and make Nico use his. Have a little look to the inside, but not deciding to go for it in the end. So I believe we maybe made Nico use a bit more energy there, and we didn't spend any at all. So this is, you know, this was lap by lap methodically trying to chip away at it, trying to, you know, give ourselves the advantage. 2 laps to go once we crossed the line. So at this point, it was starting to heat up, and we're still we're really able, a little bit of oversteer from Nico, but we're able to follow very, very strongly, which is something that that's you know, really surprised me, that, you know, we're on the 1 lap older tyres, and again Nico struggling on into the hairpin. Well, it seemed to be one of our stronger corners actually, but struggling into there, and we're still really close to the back of him, and we've still got the probably similar amount of ERS nearly running into the back of Nico. So at this point, I felt the confidence kept climbing and climbing and climbing, and I just knew I had to try and time this move correctly. I had to try and just, you know, nail it, because I'm in a prime seat to, you know, deliver the result. Dropping the ERS ever so slightly. And yeah, 3.5 tenths is because like Nico now deciding to go defensive. We are not using much battery, but I know for a fact Nicholas Longy would have been going to the outside, switching to the inside, throwing a little bit of a dummy onto the brakes, pinching the line so that Nico can't get underneath us. However, Nico getting a nice, well, we actually got a decent exit using a bit of ERS, but as you can see, not using any ERS. Nico going for the outside, and I didn't actually fight this too hard. I was okay with it happening because I've still got a bit of battery, and this meant that Nico would have had to use even more battery again. So at this point now, I don't actually think that Haas is actually there. Yeah, it's not. It's just a ghost car. But at this point, at this point in the race, you know, I went in quite deep there, so I was like, oh no, don't lose it now. And I used quite a lot of ERS to make sure I could stay within striking zone going into it. But I am 3 tenths behind Nico. I have got a few corners to go before I get my next opportunity at attacking Nico. This is for my first ever win in F1 Esports. My heart rate was obviously very, very high at this point, but I had the confidence, I had the feeling that I had what it took in this race to do it. Using that little bit of ERS, Nico was definitely using just as much as I was at this point. By this point, we were both probably quite low in the battery, getting a nice apex, not using the curb, no risk at all, getting that exit, opening that DRS, deploying the battery, deploying, having not even defending into turn 1 as Nico. We used so much battery, still got a couple of percent left, braking into turn 1, got a little bit of a nudge, and then another nudge again on the apex from Nico, but we just got such a good exit, and deploy the battery, deploy it, moving to the right, moving to the left, and then Nico getting closer and closer, but I'll leave just enough of a gap, and we made contact there. We did make contact, and if I roll it back just a moment, I will go on the outboard shots to sort of portray what was sort of happening. So, going into, I'm going to rewind it all the way back so that you can watch it at the beginning, because this is the defining moment of the race. So, heading into the braking zone. So, obviously got up the inside of Nico, and that was the first touch there. This sort of, that was the first little kiss into the back there, which obviously offset is a little bit. And then we got another little nudge there, which sort of put me out a little bit wider, but thankfully for us, we got a really good exit, and we just cover the line, weave one way, weave back to the racing line, and at this point, we're just about on the braking zone. This is the gap from Nicholas to myself. Now, I purposefully did not defend the inside here, because the only way Nico was going to be able to make this move was if he decided to make a huge dive bomb into a corner with quite a medium braking zone. So the only way he was going to pull this move off cleanly, well at all actually, not cleanly, would have been to have an accident. So rolling around to the corner, you can see he has a half look, but I think Nico even knows at this point that, you know, in order to make the move it would require, you know, way too much. So we have a small bit of contact, we are on the opposite lock. We sort of correct it all right. Nico has a huge snap of opposite lock, as you can see, going into there. And this allows us to drive off. And then, this is really important for us, Alvaro and Nico getting close side by side. And this penalty got removed, but Nico got a time penalty. But at this point, when I saw those two going side by side, I knew it was up to me to try and pull the gap. Nicholas Longy making a huge dive bomb, and at this point, if you look at the gap, it's huge. We have 9 tenths on the car running behind us, and this is the last lap of the race. This is literally it, and all I had to do was guide it home. This is the, you know, the moment I had dreamed for the entire year, you know, to come back to esports, to right the wrongs of the year before, to prove to everyone exactly what I was capable of doing, what I knew I was capable of doing, and to, you know, strike back, and, you know, and yeah, I don't really have much else to say to it. Like, I had dreamed of this moment for such a long time, that is so much longer than you guys can ever realise. And at this point, I remember coming on the videos at this final corner saying, oh my god, and then drive it to the line, go up against that wall, and this was my first ever F1 Esports victory. And I can completely, honestly say I lost my mind at this point. There's a clip on the internet, I think, or on social media, where it's just me pounding my chest. You know, it was such an emotional thing, and it was, you know, such a moment, and something I'll never forget for the entirety of my life. It was such an awesome experience, and yeah, it was a great fight and an intense way to win. So yeah, it's so nice to look back at this now post season and really, you know, enjoy commentating through it. And I really hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I really hope you've enjoyed the onboard perspective, and I hope also my commentary's been sort of useful to giving you guys an insight. And yeah, it's been good fun in making this video, and who knows, maybe I'll be able to do another one of these videos at some point in the near future. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed my F1 Esports onboard for my first ever win. And yeah, I hope to catch you guys in a future video. Take care, love you all, and yeah, stay positive and stay happy, everyone. Take care, ciao.